World's richest man saying he wants to restore truth to Twitter and trust to Twitter.
Yeah.
It's the public square now. It's how people communicate, find news. You were personally impacted by Twitter's left-leaning, censorious ways. You've now been restored. What impact do you think Twitter becoming an even playing field will have for...
Who knows? I mean, I'm hoping... I know people who know Elon Musk very well, who've worked for him, and these are very able people, to say the least. And they really admire him. He has the ability to do exactly what he did. He went into Twitter and he said, he's a good observer of the Pareto principle. A small minority of people do all the productive work. It's like, all you people, you're gone. And he just does it. It's like, and everybody who's whiny and complaining whines and complains about that, and no doubt some people who were doing a credible job were also let go, because it's a pretty broad swath, let's say. But he's got rid of 75% of the people, and Twitter is still working.
With record traffic.
Right, exactly. And so I think he will, and apparently he's also put the boots to the people who are trafficking in child sexual exploitation already.
Incredible.
Right, no kidding. No kidding. Incredible in two ways. Incredible that he did it, but even more incredible that he could do it that fast and that it hadn't been done. Right, right. So, and Musk also, it seems to me that the evidence is quite clear that he not only has a pretty good eye, but he is capable of learning. So he'll experiment, and he'll learn from his experiments, and we'll see if he can clean up Twitter. That's tough. I'm afraid, deeply afraid, that virtualization enables psychopathy, and that might be a fatal problem socially as we move towards a more virtualized world. It's not easy to keep the Machiavellian, psychopathic, narcissistic sadists under control. They're a small proportion of the population, but it's all about them and their short-term needs, and they'll do anything to make those paramount. It looks to me that when we virtualize the world, we take all the constraints off those people, and that's not good. So, for example, on social media, all the power's in the hands of the accusers. Wow, that's not good. You know, believe all women. It's like, yeah, fair enough, except it's believe most women. As soon as it's all, it's like, yeah, well, what about the psychopaths? Oh, well, they don't exist. It's like, oh, you wouldn't say that if you ever met one. So if you think that all people who are malevolent are only victims, you're naive and fortunate, and you better wake up, because one of these days someone like that's going to come and knock on your door, and you are going to be one sorry person.
Do you think what we did during COVID could usher in our version of a social credit system?
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah, that's highly probable.
And that it will be accepted by many people, because again, that
they won't even
yearning
notice.
For safety.
They won't notice even. Yeah. You can't believe how much people don't know these things. When I went to the UK, I talked to some people from the House of Lords. This is within the last 6 months. The most astute of the people sitting in the House of Lords had only become aware of the woke movement in the last 18 months. Oh yes, you just can't believe how much this is not on people's radar. Not someone like you can't believe that at all, because it's on your radar all the time. That's not, you live in a world that's on the cutting edge of this sort of thing. It's like, people have no idea. It's like, well, why not have a digital passport? I mean, you know, how convenient. It's like, fair enough, and you can understand that. Wouldn't it be nice if we could pay for everything with our phones? It's like, wouldn't it be nice if the central government, who's woke-oriented and makes carbon dioxide remediation the priority, knows exactly what you spend on everything, so they can target you tax-wise with precision? It's like, oh, didn't think about that. It's like, yeah, you sure didn't. And oh yes, it's highly probable. It'll be a miracle if we escape from that. You can see these signs of this everywhere. You know, when you go through airports now, there's a lot of automated barriers. You show your passport. It's like, well, these are automated barriers. What if you can't go through them? Well, that's the situation for many people in China. It's like, what are you going to do? You're going to argue with the machine? Like, you just cannot imagine how screwed you are. There isn't, it's way worse than anything Kafka ever imagined, because at least with Kafka, there was bureaucrats. Faceless though they may have been, they were at least still human. Once the machines can lock you out, you are in such trouble. And we're speeding towards that with an immense lack of care.
Jordan Peterson, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much for the interview.